Equatorial Guinea is one of Africa's smallest countries, yet its story is filled with extremes. It's a place where vast oil wealth exists alongside widespread poverty, and where decades of one family's rule have defined nearly every part of national life. To understand how this came to be, we'll look at the country's geography and history, from independence to dictatorship, and the legacy that still shapes it today. For better or worse, Equatorial Guinea is a unique country. It's one of the richest nations in Africa, yet its people are among the poorest in the world. It's the only African country where Spanish is the official language, and its first president, Francisco Macías Nguema, was a mentally unstable dictator who once ordered the execution of people wearing glasses, banned fishing, and committed countless other shocking acts, some of which you'll hear about in this video. This video will explore Equatorial Guinea's geography, primarily through the lens of the Nguema family's absolute insane rule, which has shaped the country since its independence in 1968. We'll start with Francisco Macías Nguema, also known simply as Macías. He was in charge right after Spain granted Equatorial Guinea independence in 1968, making it the last African country to gain independence from Spain. Said to be the son of a witch doctor, Macías was already rumored to be mentally unstable early in his career. He reportedly checked himself into a psychiatric hospital at one point, but that didn't stop him from running and winning the presidency in 1968. At first, Macías was pro-Spain, but that changed fast. He became fiercely anti-Spanish, banned the use of Spanish in official settings, and tried to make his native language Fang, one of nearly a dozen native languages in Equatorial Guinea, the national language. In 1976, he began forcing the population to replace their Hispanic names with African ones. From there, things spiraled. Macías developed extreme paranoia. He believed plots against him were everywhere, within his government, his family, and even among villagers. He ordered the mass execution of government ministers, National Assembly members, officials, and even his own relatives. Accountants, intellectuals, skilled professionals were singled out. He even banned the word intellectual. Simply wearing glasses could get you executed. Christianity was banned. The country's slogan became, "There is no other God than Macías." Western clothes, food, and medicine were also banned. He hoarded the little food available in the country and resold it at prices most couldn't afford, and only when he felt like it. The result: widespread starvation and economic collapse. If he tried to flee by boat, too bad. He destroyed them. In one of his most infamous acts, he ordered the execution of over 150 people inside the National Football Stadium by hanging, shooting, and even being eaten alive by red ants. The executioners allegedly wore Santa Claus costumes as Mary Hopkins' "Those Were the Days" blared from loudspeakers. He renamed Bioko Island, home to the capital Malabo, after himself, and in his later years he retreated to his rural hometown, where he reportedly continued executing people personally. He once stated that he believed Hitler had planned to free Africa from its colonizers, but only ended up conquering Europe because he got confused. He sent his children with his wife to be raised in North Korea. Their mother left, and they were raised by Kim Il-sung, the founder of North Korea. On August 3, 1979, he was overthrown in a coup led by his nephew, Teodoro Obiang Nguema Mbasogo, whose brother had been killed by Macías. Isolated in his palace and gripped by paranoia, Macías was unable to organize a defense. After a failed attempt to resist, he fled into the jungle of Rio Muni, the Equatorial Guinea, possibly seeking exile. On August 18, he was found by an old woman, exhausted and delirious, sitting beneath a tree and eating sugar cane. Obiang's troops soon arrived, arrested him, and discovered his nearby car stuffed with suitcases containing $4 million in cash. Before fleeing, Macías had reportedly burned $100 million, a massive portion of the country's cash reserves, as an act of revenge. He was tried and executed by firing squad on September 29, 1979 by hired Moroccan soldiers. Equatorial Guinean soldiers refused to shoot him because Macías told them his ghosts would haunt them if they did. By the end of his rule, the country was in ruins. Estimates vary, but as many as 80,000 people had been killed, and nearly half of Equatorial Guinea's remaining population of 215,000 had fled the country. Over half the population had also been arrested or had lost a relative, and the economy had collapsed. Per capita income dropped from $1,420 to $70. Infant mortality rose to 60%, and life expectancy failed to around 30 years. Obiang took power and has remained president ever since. His early rule marked a shift from the extreme brutality of his uncle's regime with some restoration of order and basic services. However, over time, Obiang consolidated power and established an authoritarian system of his own. In the 1990s, the discovery of major offshore oil reserves transformed the country's economy. Equatorial Guinea experienced rapid growth as billions of dollars in oil revenue poured in, making it one of the wealthiest countries in Africa on paper. Depending on the source, between 2005 and 2008, Equatorial Guinea had the highest GDP per capita in Africa, with some estimates putting it at around $20,000 at the peak of its oil production. Despite this paper wealth, most of the population continued to live in poverty due to extreme inequality. Today, the GDP per capita is only about a third of what it was at its peak, roughly $6,500, but it's still one of the highest in Africa. Some reports suggest that around 70% of the population survive on just $1 a day. Since taking power in 1979, Obiang has ruled Equatorial Guinea without genuine democracy, and though he's not as brutal as his uncle, he continues to maintain one of the worst human rights records in the world. However, his long tenure has brought a level of political stability that allowed the country to grow economically, especially after the discovery of oil. He has survived multiple coup attempts, the most dramatic occurring in 2004. That year, a plot to overthrow him and install an exiled opposition leader was allegedly led by former British SS officer Simon Mann, who was arrested in Zimbabwe with a plane full of mercenaries and a large weapons cache. Around the same time, 15 others were arrested in Equatorial Guinea as the advance team. Testimony linked Mann directly to the operation, and Mark Thatcher, son of the former UK Prime Minister, was later fined for helping finance it. In 2020, Equatorial Guinea ranked 174th out of 180 countries on Transparency International's Corruption Perceptions Index. The country's Anti-Corruption Commission, launched in 2022, is led by Vice President Teodoro Obiang Nguema Mbasogo, also known as Teddy. He is the son of the longtime president. While earning just €3,200 a month as Minister of Forestry, he spent millions on luxury cars, yachts, mansions, and Michael Jackson memorabilia. He also purchased a $31 million Malibu estate and a Paris mansion, later raided by police. In 2018, he arrived in Brazil with $1.4 million in cash and $15 million in watches. His lavish lifestyle, often flaunted on his Instagram, led to investigations and asset seizures in the US, France, and Switzerland. He was convicted in absentia in France, had dozens of luxury cars auctioned off, and was hit with UK sanctions in 2021. In 2025, Brazilian authorities charged him with money laundering tied to a $2.5 million apartment. Despite all of this, he remains vice president and heir apparent. But amid all the problems, there are signs of progress and potential in Equatorial Guinea. While oil still dominates the economy, the government has acknowledged the need to diversify. Recent efforts have included investments in agriculture, fisheries, and tourism. The country is part of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area, which can encourage regional trade. Literacy rates have been steadily increasing, with official rates above 90%. The government has launched campaigns to promote free and compulsory education. Its population has more than rebounded to about 1.9 million. There's been progress in access to healthcare and vaccination programs, especially in urban areas. The death penalty was banned in 2022. There are efforts to preserve and promote indigenous languages like Fong and Bui, alongside its official languages of Spanish, French, and Portuguese. Though few people actually speak French and Portuguese, they were made official for political and economic reasons. Despite its small size, Equatorial Guinea is rich in biodiversity and has made efforts to protect it, such as establishing national parks. Though infrastructure isn't great in some areas, it still has some of the best in Central Africa, due to heavy investment in roads, airports, seaports, and electricity. The capital, Malabo, and the new administrative capital, Ciudad de la Paz, have both seen significant modernization. Ciudad de la Paz is a massive, costly project to build a new capital in the rainforest. Designed to replace Malabo as the administrative center, the city features grand boulevards, government buildings, and luxury developments. but its creation hasn't been without criticism. Many argue that it serves more to project power and control than to meet the needs of a population that still lacks basic services. This could also be another form of corruption. The ruling family might be using construction companies to fake high costs just so they can skim off the top and pay themselves with public money. There have also been numerous delays, including one incident where President Obiang reportedly ordered an entire building to be moved because he didn't like the view. Whether or not real change is happening, Equatorial Guinea's leadership is working to reshape its image abroad, investing in PR firms and offering sponsored tours to social media influencers to promote a more positive image of the country. The motive may be a mix of gaining legitimacy, attracting investment, and boosting the president's legacy. Equatorial Guinea's future remains uncertain. While living conditions have improved since the brutal regime of Macías, President Obiang's son is expected to take power next. Given his reputation and the deeply rooted corruption, real change seems unlikely anytime soon. But only time will tell what lies ahead for Equatorial Guinea. Equatorial Guinea's journey is a reminder of how geography, power, and leadership can shape a nation's fate. From the chaos of Macías to the long dominance of Obiang, it remains a country of striking contrasts, rich in resources but still struggling to share them. Its future will depend on whether those in power choose to finally turn its potential into progress.